Unsolved.
Tonight's episode, the physical evidence of the Zodiac Killer 3. Welcome everybody to this episode on the Zodiac Killer. And this is the third part on a series of videos where I'm trying to find out what physical evidence that we have that ties Zodiac to one of the crimes. Something significant like DNA, a fingerprint, blood, hair, something solid. And so I'll go through the 4 or 5 crimes now. Considered Zodiac's first crime at Lake Herman, there really isn't any direct physical evidence that ties him to the crime. Now on the second crime, we have 3 things. We have fingerprints, we have the envelope and letters that he mailed, and we have a physical description of the suspect from Michael. Now on the last episode, I talked about the 2 partial prints recovered from the door handle on the right side of the vehicle. And in this episode, I found this newspaper article that talks about this same thing. The article reads, "It was dusted for fingerprints, and Townsend said yesterday it was done by criminalist Hal Snook, and we're very pleased with the results." Townsend refused to elaborate. I have not been able to find the black gentleman witness when Zodiac called the police after the Blue Rock Springs murder. It might have came about from Zodiac's letter to the police almost a month later, and it's also in the book Zodiac. But one thing I will say is, when you called 911 or the police emergency number at that time, and if you hung up the phone would ring back. That took place back then. And it has nothing to do with tracing the call. Now on the third crime at Lake Berryessa, we get a physical description of the Zodiac Killer. But the problem with the descriptions is they never seem to match up. Here, Brian describes Zodiac as kind of having a belly and sticking over his pants, which would put him 200 pounds or more. But in other descriptions, he seems to be between 180 and 200 pounds and more physically fit. One of the things that I noticed while making a previous episode is this little design on the bottom of the shoe. The Lake Berryessa shoe prints are very clear, as you can see to the right of the screen. And so they were able to match up the shoe. And so the question is, do they have clear prints, shoe prints from the Sherry Joe Bates murder? Because that would be interesting. Now with the 4th crime, the murder of Paul Stein, we have 3 witnesses, 3 children that saw the Zodiac Killer. And I read that even at least one of them, if not all of them, came outside and saw the Zodiac Killer walking away up Cherry Street. And so I found this police report and I deciphered what their names were. And so we have Sydney, 18, Lindsay, 16, that's a mistake in the report, and Trevor Robbins, 13. And they live directly across the street at 3899 Washington Street. And finally, talking about the fingerprints. They have a whole bunch of fingerprints on the letters that the Zodiac Killer sent. But here's the catch, and things that you don't think about. The killer has a left hand and a right hand. He has a pinky, a ring finger, a thumb. So they might have a thumb for the right hand and then a thumb for the left hand on something else. And so it's not as simple as matching up the fingerprints. You gotta get an index finger match with an index finger left on the car or one of the letters. And your suspect has to have had his fingerprints done. Otherwise, you're never gonna find. They're useless. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved. And next weekend, I'll have another episode on the JonBenet case and this case. So I'll see you then.